So then, if you see, on the other hand, that existence is musical in nature, that is to say that it is not serious, it is the play.
Hey guys, it's Carlos, and today we'll be taking a look at Esports Tiger Teng and Ling Yun mousepads, as well as helping you choose which one's right for you. But before we get started, we would like to ask you guys to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. With that being said, let's begin. Let's start with the similarities of both. They both measure at 480mm by 400mm and are both 4mm thick. That 4mm thickness is something that gives these mousepads great stopping power. A little more on that later in the video. They both offer really, and I mean really, good design prints, and what I mean by that is the color of the pads don't smear or overlap with each other, giving these pads a really clean and cool looking design. First, let's start with the stitching. The stitching on the Ling Yun seems more tighter than the one on the Teng, and I don't know if they just improved the stitching on the Ling Yun, but the stitching on the Teng isn't as good. This could affect the longevity of the mouse pad, but something else I did notice on the Ling Yun is where I rest my forearm on the pad, I can see where the stitching is starting to fray a little. Keep in mind, I haven't washed these pads, so I don't know if the stitching will hold up after that. It's safe to say that I think Esports Tiger have to improve on the stitching department of their pads. However, with that being said, that's about the only negative thing I could find on these mouse pads. The Teng retails at $29.99 on Addice's website. The Teng is the smoothest pad of the two, and I have to say, this pad was absolutely a blast to play on. It reminds me of a Thor pad a lot in the sense that it's smooth, but it's not as fast as a Thor. The Thor to me was just too fast, and it really didn't have the greatest stopping power. The Teng is what I always wanted the Thor to be. It's smooth but not crazy fast, and it has good stopping power due to the 4mm thickness of the pad. Because it's 4mm thick, you can press your mouse down on the pad, giving you control on stopping power. With the Thor, it was just too fast, and I couldn't land flick shots consistently with it. The Teng was a completely different story. My tracking in Apex was smooth, and flicks were really great. In my opinion, the Teng is a great mousepad for games like Apex Legends, where you need to track your opponent but also need some speed to land flick shots consistently.
In music, though, one doesn't make the end of a composition.
Moving on to the Ling Yun, which retails at $34.99, this mousepad has a different texture surface, and it really reminds me of an Equate Plus. Heck, it even has some glitter spots like an Equate Plus. Just like the Equate Plus, I would definitely categorize this mousepad as a control pad. When it comes to speed, the Ling Yun is slightly faster than the Equate, and it does have better stopping power, but only because of the pad's thickness. Again, the 4mm thickness really helps with control and stopping power on these pads. The speed difference on the Ling Yun and Equate Plus is nothing to brag about really, but when playing games like Valorant where you have to have good reaction time and have very good aim, the Ling Yun truly shines. The Ling Yun helped my accuracy be that much more accurate. These esports gaming mousepads are really great, but don't just take my word for it. Here's my brother Gus and his thoughts on both the Ling Yun and Teng mousepads.
Sup guys, Gus here. If you saw our unboxing video on the Esports Tiger mousepads, video over here, you know that out of both pads, the Teng is my favorite out of the two. It has really good stopping power, but what I like about it the most is its smooth glide. I describe the Thor mousepad's glide as like skating on ice, whereas the Teng's glide feels like my mouse is rolling on clouds. It is smooth, but because it has that 4mm thickness, it gives me that stopping power I always wanted out of the Thor. Now, as for the Ling Yun, it's a really great pad, but it's not for me. It's a bit too slow for me to be honest. In fact, using the Ling Yun gets my arm tired when playing fast-paced games like Apex Legends, where I have to constantly swipe my mouse. However, when I play games like CSGO, the Ling Yun truly shines.
In music, though, one doesn't make the end of a composition.
I can stop on the dime and land some pretty good flick shots. So yeah, both pads are good, but I highly recommend choosing either one depending on what games you play. Well, that about does it for now. I'm gonna toss it over to Carlos to wrap things up.
Alright, so let's quickly go over the pads. The Long Teng is a smooth pad with good speed and stopping power, great for heavy tracking games like Apex and Warzone. The Ling Yun is a slow pad with great control and stopping power. It's really great for games where precision and zero mistakes are key to winning like Valorant or CSGO. But hey, at the end of the day, we're all different and only you can choose which mouse pad is right for you. But if you have no clue on which one to buy or pick up, then I'd recommend the Long Teng, as it's just a very well-rounded mouse pad that I think most would enjoy. I hope I was able to give you guys enough information on the Esports Tiger Long Teng and Ling Yun mouse pads to help you choose which one's right for you. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you guys want to see more content like this. Affiliate link to Addice will be down below if you want to pick one of these pads up. This is Carlos from Hardware Unplugged, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.